Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I can see there's Alois. People have joined. Okay, let me just put this phone away, and then I'm going to be back, and then we get started.
Let me just. Oh.
Can you hear? You can. Okay, I can see this, and then I'm going to be back, and then what's. All right. Let me welcome all our viewers who have joined us from all over the country. We got indication that people are quite interested in this conversation we're going to have today. And for that, I really want to appreciate everyone that has come. Yes, sorry about that. And you look beautiful, you know. Let me just say that. You all look great today. You look ready for the week. Are you on holiday or are you at home?
I'm home.
Oh, okay.
We don't know what holiday is.
Is it that bad to be a small business or a business person? So we'll see now. We'll see now what it all takes to do that. Let me welcome all our viewers and our supporters. I really appreciate everybody who takes time every Sunday. And I know that today Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates are playing, but I think there's nothing better than what we're going to be talking about here today. Because Kaizer Chiefs is going to win, that's clear. And if you're a Pirates fan, there's no point in going to watch that game. If you're a Kaizer Chiefs fan, there's no point in leaving because the score is already clear. And so thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to our guests as well. We're going to introduce them and let them tell us a bit more about who we are. You know, just a few years ago, small black businesses were shopkeepers, you know, little taxi owners, you know, people that sell on the side of the road, spaza shop owners, meat sellers, those kinds of people that were buying from the established businesses, and then they themselves buy and do all these things and sell to us. We, at least in my case, when I grew up, there were very, very few people who are into businesses in the areas that our guests are. We didn't know some of these things. We didn't even have a language for it. And so it means that we, as a country, are making progress, particularly as a Black people who are making progress, because they are into areas of business that are, when I look at them, I feel that they are among the frontiers or among the pioneers, especially as young Black people. We now have people in various areas of the economy, which over the years was unimaginable, especially for Black women. Today, my guests are part of a growing group of business owners who prioritize service excellence. And I know for sure, because I've dealt with at least Nongxa, which is Nwabisa, Cheryl-Lynn from a business point of view. And maybe one of these days soon, we'll talk with Yanga as well about how I can also support his business and encourage other people to do the same thing. I can know for sure that they, and having watched Yanga as well, I can see that they really focus on business excellence. It's something that is of their interest. And so that's why we thought today, let's talk about that concept, but combine it with the second concept, which is small business. Because for many people, for many of us, we don't allow those to combine in the same sentence. You know, small business known as cheap, unprofessional, inefficient. You just basically feel, especially Black You just feel like, hey, it's called let's support Black, but in actual fact, you still have a little sense that you're not going to get the best out of these people. So it's always important then to say, when there are people who are prioritizing service excellence, who are taking these things seriously, let's talk to them. Let's find out why and how are they making it, and how we can help others to ensure that we are no longer going to associate service, poor service, as well as Black small business, or any small business for that matter. Because in our country, everybody agrees, in fact, the world over, that the future for employment, for economic growth, for everything to move forward lies in small businesses. And so I want today to talk about that. And I have with me a group of excellent people. Nwabisa Nongxa. Nwabisa is the owner and CEO of Nongxa Media. Wow, can you believe that? At such a young age. She's also trained as a graphic designer, social media content manager, a photographer, and a garment printer. Let me just say that the posters that you see that I use for my programs, this is the lady behind that. She is the one who produces that, but she does much more. You talk about garment, all those kinds of things. She's going to tell us about that. And I've also got Yanga Duma. Yanga is the owner and CEO of If Insurance. I tried to look for what this If stands for, but maybe we'll hear it today. And because I noticed whenever you write on your Facebook, whenever you write if, just as an ordinary word, you always use the IF, which is the what you call this, the capital letters. So he's the owner of If Insurance. He is a banker, a qualified internal auditor, and experienced in financial services broadly. You have worked in the financial sector before you established your business, Yanga. And welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. All right. And last but not least, Cheryl-Lynn Freeman. Oh, my daughter. She is the owner and CEO of Mzansi Business Services, a tax practitioner and an accounting officer with an honors degree in accounting science. We used to work together with Cheryl-Lynn, very professional, very efficient lady. In fact, one person said, "Wow!" when he saw the what you call this, the poster, he said, "Hey, I used to work with Cheryl-Lynn at the radio station. She's a great person." So people are looking forward to this conversation today, Cheryl-Lynn. And this afternoon, we'll learn a bit more about your lives. We're also going to learn a bit more about your businesses. But thirdly, we're going to learn about service excellence from your side. Now, on this program, before we start, I just want to indicate that the Kulati coaching and consulting, really, it's our main thing is to help people grow in personal development and just grow in all areas of life. Round. So that's what we do. And so with these talk shows or these programs that we have, we're using them to inspire, to inform, to encourage, to motivate other people who feel that there is no hope for them or who cannot see their way forward. We profile people that are actually doing something. We can no longer wait with hands like this for other people to do it, but we now have to do. So I bring here people that have something to contribute, and I really appreciate your time, ladies and gentlemen. So it's going to be a conversation. Feel free to jump in at any time, but let's start. Who wants to go? Just tell us about you as a person. Let's start with you, Cheryl-Lynn. Briefly, just tell us about you as a person, where you grew up, how your journey started in life, what stands out for you in your youth, and also what within that upbringing is it that made you decide on the path that you've taken, especially of business as we're talking today? Say hi to our viewers and answer my question, please.
Well, I'll definitely start by saying good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me, Patrick. You were my last boss. So it's an honor to be back in some small way. Cheryl-Lynn hails from the United States of Cape Town. I was born in Mitchell's Plain. My mom jumped into a taxi. There wasn't even time for an ambulance to get me to hospital on the 17th of June. I come from, I'm one of the first from my immediate family to actually make it to university. And the one significant, if I could, they always tell you about this turnaround point. So for me, I remember going to a Model C school, and my first day, my uncle rode me on a bicycle to school. And I stood there and I was thinking to myself, after school, there was no discussion of how I'm going to go back home.
Okay.
So for those of you that know Cape Town, I walked from Tukai, from Kirstenau Primary, from Tukai to Lavendale.
Sure.
And when my mom saw me, she got the shock of her life. She almost fainted seeing me. And I think the one thing from my upbringing that my mom worked hard for, she's no longer with us, but the one thing she instilled is really just passion, drive, and determination, irrespective of your backgrounds. And she really focused on trying to give me that upper hand through education. I remember, I don't know if they still do it. I went to the library. I'm one of those that used to eat up books all the time. So they had this career book, and in that career book, for each of the professions, they take you through the personality type, and then you need to match sort of what your traits are compared to that. And I went through the accountancy, and I looked at that and I thought, this is interesting. That was in grade 9.
Okay.
I had initially learned accounting in Afrikaans. I went to school for a year. I went to Swanswyk for a year. Everything was in Afrikaans for the first time in my life. So I was introduced to something that I've got a career in Afrikaans. So I looked at that, Patrick, and I thought, okay, I can do this. And I was getting the A's and whatever in the other subjects, your science, your biology, your geography, all of that. And I just told my teachers, after, you choose your subjects in grade 9, I said to them, you know what? I am not going for any of the other things. I want to do accounting. I want to make a difference in the business world. And the only study subject that I chose was history. Everything else was all to do with numbers or understanding. And I think that's the one thing I loved about accounting, is that I just had to understand it. I didn't necessarily have to study for hours. I just needed to understand basic principles. And I was the only child. I'm biologically the only child that my parents are fostering 4 of my cousins' kids, coming from a drug background. But the one thing I said to myself, I'm going to make it to university. And I knew my parents were already struggling to pay my school fees, and I knew they didn't have the money. So I applied to university anyway. I thought, there's going to be a will, there's going to be a way. If there's a purpose and a plan for my life, I know there'll be provision. And I applied to UCT. I got in. Yes. And I just didn't, the one thing that I didn't know where the funds was going to come from. So my first year, my parents took out a loan, and I worked hard. I made the Dean's Merit List. That qualified me to get a scholarship, or access to a scholarship, from the Alan Gray Orbis Foundation. And the significant thing is that I went on this camp, Donald Trump's got nothing on you compared to this kind of camp that I went on. It was drilling. It really was a drilling camp for business ideas. And you need to present all the time. You need to work in groups of people that you don't really know.
Yeah.
And I was confident. I thought, maybe I stood out in some way. And I remember them coming back to me to say that, hope you enjoyed it, but unfortunately you didn't make it.
Sure.
And I heard this news when I was in my room. In my matric year, I had my uncle with me. He was falsely accused of rape, but they had him out on parole anyway. There was no evidence besides the accusation. So I had him there with the dacha smells in my room. And then I had my grandfather that was divorced at 60. That was also joining me. So I had a triple bunk in my room. And that's how I made it through my matric year, but I got the highest marks at the end of my matric year that I had my entire school career. And I can just really thank God for that. So when I heard
come back.
Yeah.
Okay, finish that point, and because I want us to come back to it, because I just want to get the others in as well, and then we can move together.
Sure.
Just finish your thought. Yeah.
Yeah, so for what I just wanted to say with the scholarship. So I heard this, I was in my room, and then I walked to the kitchen, I told my mom the news, and in that same time I walked back into my room, and there's a scripture, Jeremiah 29, verse 11, 12, and 13, talks about purpose and God having plan for your life. And I said, You have this purpose, you have this plan for my life, you make a way. And that's when a week later, they said to me, they called me, they reconsidered my application. And if I've got no other offers, they would like to offer me a scholarship. And that was my entire university paid for.
Sure, yeah. And just like that, so there was an intervention, a divine intervention, so to speak, that turned everything around for you. And
yes.
And I also heard from your, remember the guy who was your lecturer at UCT in accounting, told me that
in management accounts.
Yes, you did quite well in accounting. So all right, let's come to you, Duma. Sorry, Yanga. And if I say Duma, it's fine. If I say Yanga, it's all right. Let's come to you, man. Let's just tell us a brief about you and up to school or high or university or tertiary level, and put it like that.
First, let me greet everyone at home who is watching and say I'm honored to be part of this platform. One of the things before I go to the question really to note is that I'm one of a panelist out of two females. Ordinarily, it would be two men and then we'll just dangle a female. That to me is saying I'm only following, I'm just an add-on to females. And that is saying really, ladies, that women today are equally capable of taking and running businesses just like men. And women today have stopped being spectators in a game they can equally play. So I truly admire that. And immediately when I got the invitation to be with two women, I was like, we are advancing, we are making the right strides towards the right mark, For a woman to succeed in business, it's much harder than a man. So I cannot just let that. This is not a coincidence. It is to say we are moving towards the right direction. So, ladies,
thank you, man.
Myself, basically, I'm a young man, born and bred in Mdantsane. It's in East London. My mother is a factory worker, and I'm also my father was a taxi owner. In the area of Mdantsane, East London, under the Border Alliance and all those taxi associations. He is no longer. I come from a family that had those objectives that said, as uneducated as we are, we will take our kids to school to be educated. I grew up under influences. As much as you are in Mdantsane, you don't see role models of what you can really aspire to be. I grew up in a very supportive system, which is a church background. So for me, weekends would be a day where I would see people that I look up to and say, one day there is a pattern I can cut and become a somebody in the society as well. There was a man, particularly one person, whilst I was still growing up, who really took out the time to expose me to more. Because sometimes what you don't know, you don't know. Cheryl mentioned a book. It was called at the time, The A to Z of South African Careers. That's the book. And
you can testify.
Yes, the late Zuki Lengete exposed me to that book, and because he was from my church, and he nurtured this dream of this young man who wanted to become a somebody.
Wow.
People I used to play with, they will tell you, now we have a pastor Duma in our church. His vision was to become a pastor. When I narrated my one, as we were playing bicycles, I would always be saying, I'm going to be a businessman. I would narrate the value chain. I would be a doctor, and from the doctor, I would own a mortuary. From a mortuary, I would own the burial service. But everything of mine has always been around owning a business.
So you always had a sense when you were still young. Yeah?
Certainly. So I believe now where I'm at and all that I've studied and the opportunity in corporate actually molded me to get me to the introduction of the particular business I needed to be. Went to school, yes. I was exposed to corporate for 5 years. We went through all those rankings of corporate and I established. But in essence, I'm married. I've got 2 kids. I love my wife and I love family.
So that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. By the way, in this program, we also care about family. We also care about issues of men, business, personal development. So that's why I'm saying that's great. But you also went to school and you did internal auditing, am I right?
That's correct, Prophet.
And other qualifications, yes.
Correct. I did internal auditing. I must say, I've never audited a day in my life. It's one of those where you then finish the qualification, you're like, it's not for me. Yes. I'm currently in the financial planning space. I'm doing my honors in personal financial planning, but I'm running an insurance business at this point.
Okay, all right. That's great. We're gonna get to that business just now. Noabi, last but not least, let's come to you. Tell us a brief about yourself as the other guys have done.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nongxa. Yes. I grew up in the Eastern Cape in a small town called Indwe. I was living with my great-grandmother. My mother was working then. She's working in military, and my grandmother was still working. So I grew up living with my great-grandmother and cousins. I think that's when the love for creatives started, because you know when you're living with an older person, you do weird things. We had a helper at home. But the chores that we had, we used to do a garden. So on Saturdays, one of the chores that we'll do was to do a garden. We'll go outside, we'll water the plants. She even taught us the names of the flowers that we had at home. When it's time to paint the house, it will be one of our chores as well to paint the house, and we'll also be given an opportunity to use the color that we will use, especially the back room. I still remember, I don't remember her teaching us how to cook, but I remember her telling us that the first thing that you must see before you taste the food is by the naked eye. You must see the food before you taste it, that the food is good. So that's when I learned creatives from there. Even when we have to cover our books, we never bought covers from the shops. We used to use newspapers. And she will convince us that, this newspaper is much more beautiful than the cover that you will get from the shop. And you have an opportunity to even read the newspaper out of the book. So that's one of the things that we learned from my grandmother. But then she then died. Then we had to move to Johannesburg.
Okay.
When we moved to Johannesburg, then we lived with my aunt. I remember one of the socio-economic conditions that we were living in is in the Eastern Cape, everything in school was taught in Xhosa. So it was kind of difficult for us when we moved to Joburg. Now we had to adapt to a lot of languages. We had to adapt to even English. I remember the first question that was asked was from me to explain the water cycle. Well, I knew how to explain the water cycle, but the problem was explaining it in English.
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 Oh, I know that. The whole photosynthesis problem.
Yes. You see that it rains, the water goes underground, there is condensation, there is evaporation, then it comes back and then it rains again. I knew how to explain that, but the problem was explaining it in English. And in class, there were no classes. We had Sotos, we had Tswanas, Portuguese. So I had to stand up and explain. I remember my grandmother, that's creativity. You must always find a way. That's what she taught us, that there's always a way.
It's always a way.
Yes. So I stood up, I took a chalk and I drew the water cycle.
Wow.
The case was closed.
Wow.
So that's how I lived. That this English must be conquered, but I must learn. I am here, I'm at school, so things must be done. And then my teachers will buy us English books and we would read English books and we conquered. I was known as that Xhosa girl, but then the Xhosa girl who conquered English. Then I did my tertiary studies in Cape Town. I'm now based in Cape Town. I did marketing. By the way, in high school, we had a subject, computer studies, and I was very good in computer studies. I think because I had this big machine in front of me, and in this class, I don't have to speak English, but this machine has to speak to me. So then I developed that love for computers from that class. And then when I moved to Cape Town, I did marketing. In marketing now, we had most of the times had presentations and visuals, and would pay other students to design for us for our visuals. It figured me that I have computer background and I was good at it. All I needed was a software to be able to design my own posters. And then we joined a church with my family in Yanga Baptist Church. When we were there, we started a ministry, which is the media ministry that does the broadcasting of the church. We did the posters of the church and everything was self-taught. Remember, the ministry was not existing. We started the ministry. So we started taking pictures of the service. I think that's when it all started. Then now I had the theory background from school. I now have experience from church. And then I did my marketing. So all together, the experience, the theory came together. And then I qualified myself now to start this business. From the love of photography, designing, and even social media. I developed that love from social media because that's where most of the things are learned. So that's when Nongxa Media came about.
Okay, wow. That's interesting sort of background stories. And I think it's important that we get to know the people that we speak to, and so that people can understand that, people come from somewhere, certain backgrounds, and and look at the challenges that they had to go through before they are where they are. Because sometimes we look at people that appear on platforms like this and we think already these people are already successful. But normally, when we bring people here, people are on their journey toward their vision and passion and purpose. And that's what we're here to share, not so stories of success, of big billions of rands. It's about the journeys that people are going through. And so I know that you have a time challenge there, Cheryl-Lynn. So let me start with you. Briefly tell us about your business. What do you do? What do you offer? And how did the business come about? So that people that are there who may want to engage with you in business can do that. I know that you were at radio at some point, you know, I worked with you before, you heading the finance department, but then you decided to move towards your business. Let's talk about your business. What do you offer, and what do you think is your key niche?
So under Mzansi Business Services, we offer compliance, tax, accounting, as well as training services. The two forms of clientele that I mostly focus on are owner-managed businesses. So those are your sort of your sole entrepreneurs. And then I also have a passion for non-profit organizations. When I did my articles, that was the one thing that my audit articles, that's the one thing I aimed for, was to always go on MPO audits, because I just love to find out what they were doing. So that's a key focus for my business. I do one-on-one financial training. I do workshops with the Department of Social Development. That was before COVID hit us. With regards to just financial management, I work one-on-one with entrepreneurs to grow their business right from registration to the point where they get their first tender or their first big contracts, or just trying to help them to prepare. The one philosophy that I've always had in the business, it's better to miss an opportunity having been prepared than to have not been prepared and missed an opportunity that you have. So I really just have a passion to help businesses as much as I can. And that is why I transitioned from being the National Finance and Operations Manager in an organization that had a budget of a couple of millions to wanting to just do my own thing, is just to serve more people. That is my heart, is to serve nonprofits, to serve entrepreneurs and help them grow their journey. And also, I think I'm known as the fixer. If I could name my business that, I would. So I get a lot of, if I could say, injured souls. So it's people that has come from other tax practitioners or accountants, and this and that has happened. So they come to me, and even in organizations that I worked, I always seem to get the messy ones. But I loved it. I love problem solving. So I usually dig in, and I don't think there's a problem that's ever too big to solve. Even an elephant, you can only eat one piece at a time.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. You do things like business planning, strategic planning. I know that when I worked with you in my business plan, dealing with SARS and all those kinds of things. And yeah, you do quite a lot. So what brought you to this idea of your business? I mean, you were working full time. And but what was behind that? I mean, I hear you when you talk about your love for business, but is it something that you feel that you are called to do to business? Because other people are called to different, but why small business and NPO sector? Why are you doing that?
Patrick, I remember my matric oral where you do you talk about your career. I had another accountant that taught me this poem, and I'm going to recite it to you if I can remember it, from 2004. I love accounting. It keeps me on my toes. I love the words and numbers lined neatly up in rows. I love the sense of order. That's why I'm here today. Business needs my special skills. That's what I always say. So that's always in the back of my mind. When I think about it, I think it's just a pure passion for numbers, paying attention to detail. I remember when you would ask me for a report and you would probably wonder, why is it taking so long? But I think they say the devil's in the details, but I think God is in the details. And I just love that. And I think there's such a huge knowledge gap within the MPO sector. And even when it comes to entrepreneurs, they start their own business. We in such a stringent legislative environment in South Africa, such a lot of red tape for small business that people don't even know the obligations that they have towards SARS. And they have thousands of rands of penalties that I have to assist them with. So it's small things that they have challenges with that I've picked up along the way, auditing a lot of small businesses. When I did my audit articles, I was offered to go to PwC, KPMG, or Investec, and I chose to go to a small Jewish firm called Howard Zeller Caro, because I would sit on an audit for a week and then I'd move to the next one. So I learned so much that I thought, you know what, there is just really that need, not only to assist from a financial management point of view, but also to educate and empower. And that's essentially where my passion comes from, to be able to deliver services in terms of what I do, but also to educate those and take them through a journey. As well as they manage their business, as they start it up, as they grow their business.
Okay. Now, Cheryl-Lynn, before I move to Yanga, I just want to find out from you, are you operating nationally, or are you operating in the Western Cape or Cape Town? And secondly, you know, when you started off, did you find yourself that as you went on with the years, you had to diversify and add businesses, or have you always identified a particular set of services and went on with those?
You know, Patrick, I don't know if I'm going to be crucified for what I'm about to say. I think my mindset changed about university over the years. Because I can tell you there's two things I learned from university that I actually practically use in my business. One is how to compile financial statements, and the other is to understand, not necessarily know how to do a tax return, but understand the calculations.
Okay.
But that, compared to the shopping list of things that I've done, was based on what clients wanted. So in 2011, I started keeping part-time, and I put my ad as it, offering bookkeeping services. And then I had my clients that would come back to me and would ask me, Cheryl-Lynn, can you do workers' compensation? And I'm thinking to myself, what on earth is that? So I became a master researcher when it came to those sort of things. And I pushed through. If I had to be on the phone for an hour with the Department of Labor, having already put the phone down.
Cheryl-Lynn, is it me or Yanga and Nwabisa? Can you hear Cheryl-Lynn?
She's breaking a bit.
Find out how to do this. I was determined to do that. So,
Cheryl-Lynn, you're breaking.
Yeah.
You are breaking.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it could be the quality. Can you hear me now a little bit better?
Yes, I can hear you a little bit better. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Get to finish your point.
So what I was saying is that a lot of the services in my offering comes from my clients. Okay. And clients like a one-stop shop. They don't like having a bookkeeper here, then having a tax practitioner here, and then going somewhere else for someone to do their financials. So I had to evolve with that as part of, I think I'm in an industry where you have to continuously learn and develop, and part of my professional membership, I have to do continuous development and make sure I do a certain number of hours when it comes to updating myself in the industry. It's like I had to watch the news all the time to find out what's happening in order to advise and assist my clients. So for me, the one thing is that you shouldn't, especially for careers where people perceive you in a certain way. I think if you had to meet me and not know what I do, you would have not guessed that I do accounting. I sat in a coffee shop and the guy looked at me and he's like, you know, you're probably in HR or in sales or something like that. And it stems, Patrick, from just a love for people and everything else. Once you connect, you see, you don't connect business to business. You connect person to person. and
Hmm.
still do business with someone they trust. You don't have to be the best kid around the block, but as long as there's that connection and level of trust when it comes to securing business with the client, then you will win.
Okay, wow. Thank you so much. Let's come to you, Yanga, with the same question. All right, just tell us about your business, how it started. I mean, there's a sad story behind some of this stuff. And if you can just share a little bit about that with the passing of your dad and the passing of your sister, and how did you come about with this concept? And it looks like, and also tell us, did you diversify over the years? Are you operating right across the country? And how are you marketing yourself?
All right, thanks for the question, Prophet. I think for me, 2015 was a crucial year for me to fully move from corporate into business. 2015 was a year of pain, whereby I lost a lot of loved ones. I lost my father in August 2015, my sister in September 2015. So it was basically a month. It was like a COVID situation, but in 2015. And people in the insurance company I was working at the time were like, I don't want to become a relative of yours. The likelihood is that I would die. and as a professional at that time, working full time, there was my problem statement at the time was this: how is it that I'm able to earn a good income, but I'm unable to cover for financial funeral needs for the rest of my extended family? And for me, it was a protest to say the people we are dealing with on a daily basis are paying too much on funeral insurance. At the time, I was sitting in one of the big 4 insurance companies, and my role was to educate people on their financial planning needs. And when it came to our people of color, you could not educate them or move them as much as other financial services products made sense in terms of them becoming a solution. But the income was locked in the high amounts of funeral policies. And for me, that was, at the time then, other than the pain that I was experiencing, but the business, to start the business was a protest to say, it cannot be that even a professional like myself feels the pain to not affording funeral policies. Of course, 2015 was an embarrassing year because, I mean, if you must scrape around for money for, you know, you don't want lengthy meetings at home. You are not working.
Who's gonna bring this? Who's gonna bring that? Who's gonna bring this?
So immediately sitting sitting at that insurance company, I walked out of that insurer with an agreement, an underwriting agreement that was for the prices that I saw fitting for the market.
Okay.
So from that time, I've been building the business from what the clients know, which is funeral insurance. From there, once you talk to a client and you start making them to see that the whole point of you are spending more than 15% of your income on funeral policies, it cannot be right. In SA, the rule of thumb, if you are applying for a home loan, they would say don't exceed 30%. But we've got clients today who are 20% in of their income on funeral policies. It cannot be right. So I built my business around that to say, I'll take you from what you know and educate you to the spaces of risk that you probably do not know.
Okay.
So I've built the business around that fundamental. 2015, late 2015, I started from the number 1 client, which was my wife. Number 2 client, which was my mother-in-law. And you started a business from a point of comfort. Because I had moved in 2014 as a business manager. I was 26 of one of the big 5 banks. Comfortable, everything comfortable. My family was saying, I'm mad. Where am I headed to? What would I be? I mean, you are black, you are now educated, you are in Cape Town. At 26, you make
You're
it.
managing already a big department.
What is this? What have you seen? I mean, really, we know taxis, we know spazas, but you are going to the world of the unknown now. And I've had to build a business from client one.
Sure.
And today, of course, to Cheryl's point, you run the business from understanding people's situation. If you don't have the love of what you do and the love of people, you will never be able to deliver prime customer. We're talking about customer service. I'm now at a level of talking about customer experience. You can have a teller at Pick and Pay, you pay for the vegetables and you go. But that one that greets you with a smile, that locks you in, every day you look forward to going back to Pick and Pay because there's that one particular teller. That's where we are at in terms of our madness of building a business, because we're in the service industry. When a person buys, they're not buying a computer that you can see. They're buying a promise of something that will happen in the future. So if you don't have the love of keeping to the promise, of understanding what is it that the pain you are alleviating from the person, then don't come into my business. You're not going to succeed. So you ask where we're operating now. I'm based in Cape Town, but we've got clients across South Africa. Digital channels I've got more clients in Johannesburg, in the Eastern Cape, than I do in the Western Cape. And we are able to run and deliver a superior service to clients all over SA. And one of the things that is important as we speak about this topic, I believe, I hope that other Black business people are listening to this. There are certain fundamentals that we must do, not to have the drive, not be driven by the money. There are certain things that once they are in place, the money comes. Compliance in the business, whatever regulatory board that needs to be in place. Of course, your people need to be in place. Your administration is key.
Because that's when things fall off the radar.
If you don't have that, then of course the service pillar, all the others. I like what Raymond Ackerman in his book, Four Legs of the Table, when he paints it, he paints these four legs of the table. Administration, under administration, Cheryl will come in terms of accounting and all the other ones, tech stuff. He puts it, you're building, our role as business people is to build this table so that a customer can sit comfortably without problems. So when we fail to deliver great customer experience, we have failed to build that table. I don't know whether I'm speaking from the hip now because it's
it's fine. It's fine. That's what we want. Because in your business, you're dealing with people that mostly get to a pain point where they don't want to talk about this. They just want their claim to be submitted, processed, and paid. So that process has to be done properly.
Certainly. So I think the strategy prepared from 2015 to build from what the people actually know to where to educate them up. It has shown to be working because the same client you have serviced is the same one that says, I need to leave a legacy. This funeral cover is for the incident. You talk risk covers. You now are able to have a client that says, I've had cancer and I was able in my recovery process to have a lump sum payout. You now have clients that are saying, I need all my assets documented. There's a will in place. Yanga, let's plan for retirement planning, to the point where you retire this person and make sure that they'll still be able to live, not to afford, but to be happy in retirement. So I mean, we get exposed to scenarios where once the mother passes away, it's a mess. And I would get the joy of having paid out the claim earlier in business. But the same family will come back and say, was there nothing else?
Hey. Yanga, we'll come back to that. I just want to bring on Nwabisa Nongxa, so that she can also can tell us a bit more about her business. Nwabi, tell us about how your business started. You told us about where the creativity started to be sparked back at home and so on in the Eastern Cape. And when you came to Johannesburg, you drew up the whole waters. So tell us about now the business side. When did you start your business? Why did you start your business? How has the experience been for you? And who are your market clients and so on?
Okay. Thank you, Pipet.
Yeah.
Okay. Nongxa Media started 3 years ago, and it's when we saw the need, especially for students. As I said, that when we do the visuals for school, you need to pay people that will charge you an amount of money that you cannot afford. So that's when we decided to just start this and make sure that it's targeted, starting from the students, those who cannot afford. So that's when we started. I was still at school then. I was still doing my diploma. So I started photography, I started designing, and all of them were self-taught. Wow. So we got the softwares from this guy. I met two of the guys from Church, Sia and Vusi, and they gave me softwares to learn from at home, self-taught, and would do the posters, would do the flyers, would do the book covers, would do the invitations, and they will teach me how to do the videos, to do the stationery pictures, and we do all that, and we would enjoy all the creatives behind those. So that's when the business started. And then another thing that we do is photography. Photography, we do not have a studio, but we do outdoor photography. We take pictures from the beach, we take pictures from the forest, and we will come to you. If you want to take photos with your family, we come to you, because as yet we do not have a studio. And then another thing that we do, we saw a market on is social media. Most businesses suffer when it comes to social media, and social media is the in thing. It's one of the trending when it comes to promotions. So we do social media on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter as well, Instagram as well. So what we do is that most of the times, small business would lack content. So one of the things that we do is we study the business that we're going to serve, and then we'll do the content, we do the videos in terms of advertising and promotion. And then the last of the things, we do 4 things. One of the things that we do is garment print. When it comes to garment print, we specialize in hoodies, the t-shirts, the caps, and the sweaters. So we provide the service, or else you give us your own material, and then we do the print for you. So that's what we do. That's basically what Nongxa Media does.
Okay, all right. And I take it that you use a lot of those yourself as a business, those social media platforms to market yourself. But I've seen you on Facebook marketing quite dramatically as well. Tell us about that as well.
Yes. So what we do is mostly we don't face-to-face deal with clients unless we have to deliver the printed material. So our work is mainly on social media. That's where you will find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So whatever that we do, we market it on social media. And that's where we grow our business, because we get to be seen. Even the students, the small businesses, we are even supplying the church logos, the church flowers, the posters. That's what we do, all in social media: Instagram, Nongxa Media; Facebook, Nongxa Media; and YouTube, Nongxa Media.
Okay, okay, all right. You know, the two things that come out from you, it's, I mean, yeah, Cheryl-Lynn was talking about a verse where she quoted a verse in Jeremiah 29, verse 11. And Yanga, you were talking about the fact that you learned a lot from church. You saw role models there. You too have been talking about Baptist church. And so it sounds like a church plays a big role in your life. But I would have thought that you would just simply pray and things would happen. But it sounds like you also do a lot of hard work. Just talk about that, Cheryl-Lynn, and then tell us about your understanding of the concept of service excellence and what Yanga now calls service experience. How do you define it, Cheryl-Lynn? And then we're going to come back to the other colleagues, but I'm just concerned that you're going to go. How do you experience that? Why do you seem to be reliant not just on prayer, but also on work, on hard work?
I have this philosophy that the world does not consist of money, but it consists of thoughts and ideas that attract money.
Okay, wow.
So
right there.
So
the
from
world does not consist of money. It
yes.
consists of ideas that bring money. Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
Mark Zuckerberg didn't have the money for Facebook, but when he sat with the Harvard students, then he sought out a network worldwide, which we now know as Facebook, and now he's a billionaire from that. So for me, I think it's important that you apply strategy. A lot of people come to me and say they want a business plan. They want a business plan for funding. But a business plan is actually not for the purposes of funding. A business plan is a blueprint of A to Z of your business to help you start your business, to help you understand what are the resources that I need, what are the logistics involved in selling, whether it be my product or service, and how much is it going to cost me. So when people come and say, I want to do a business plan, or I want to do a strategic plan, or they want a budget, I will ask you, what is the vision? What is strategy? What are the activities linked to fulfilling that strategy? Then you add rands to it, because then you can identify the resources. And sometimes we work back to front. And I think, Patrick, if there's one mindset that I would like to address when it comes to starting a business, is that I need money to start a business. I didn't have money when I started my business. What I did have is I had a laptop and I had access to internet. And I had my skill sets at the time, which has evolved over the years according to what my clients need, and in the space that we are in terms of leading in my industry, because I'm in a very competitive industry. So I think it's really important that you plan, and you can have a 90-day plan to start off with your business. You know, I have people that come to me and register the business. I give them the BE, the tax clearance, and all of that, and then I get the question, okay, so what do I do next? And I'm thinking to myself, what you do next is you go out there and you make money. And even the idea that people have that I need to register first and I need to do this and that, sometimes we use it as excuses or stumbling blocks to entertain procrastination. Because if God has placed an idea or a vision inside of you, and it's one of those that you'll know a good idea from a God idea. A good idea is like, you might walk past somewhere and say, oh, you know, it would be nice to set up a shop here for ladies, you know, curvy ladies, and we'll get dresses and sell those dresses to them. But when you get a God idea, it's something that's recurring. It's something that continually comes up, whether it be in conversation, whether it be you reflecting on your own, whether it's someone's just giving you feedback. Cheryl-Lynn, you're good in this. I liked what you did here. Would you be able to help me here? So like the Bible says, your gift will make room for you. And it's you developing that skill set. So I have to continuously, people ask me, why are you watching financial management videos? Other people teaching, why are you watching that? For me, it's I need to sharpen my tools all the time. Because like our parents raised us, they could only raise and implant in us what they know.
Yeah.
So it's our responsibility. If we are serving clients, they expect us to be a specialist in or expert in that particular field. And it's important that we continually sharpen our tool, because yes, you're going to be using that axe, but that axe is going to get blunt and you're going to have to go back and sharpen it. And if you don't, you are in an environment where business can I'm in an environment where business can easily be stolen from me. But if I establish that relationship and I'm able to give my clients something of value, so it's not about price and saying I'm the cheapest around the block. I don't want you to come to me because of that. I want you to come to me because I solve one, or hopefully more than one, because it's going to mean I'm going to get more money of your problems. I'm able to add value to your business. So I can't just be an accountant that's going to provide you financial reports. I need to be the kind of accountant to be able to sit with you and say, this has been your income, this has been your expenses. These are the things that you need to look at in order to maximize your profit. So you need to find out what are the things that make you stand out of the rest, and you need to sharpen that. And if it's something that you have a weakness in, rather outsource it. Nwabisa is good in social media and marketing. And I am not actually someone that's good at selling myself. I am more about delivering the service and you take it from there.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for you to identify what are your strengths, what are the things that get you business. For me, people like me, and that's why they do business with me. When they speak for me, it's just seriously, if I can say, just get me in the room, get me on the phone. With a client, and I've not had a client that has not done business with me because of the friendly way they feel comfortable. It's important to listen, because you need to listen to your clients for ideas. Okay. And there's money sitting there in the conversations that you have with your clients. So it's important, especially for if it's a product, maybe they like your product, but maybe there's just a little something else that you need to change there. The services, I remember the one challenge that I had was I would be doing your things in the background, but you won't always know. And I think it's something accountants are guilty of. We are busy in the background, but we're not communicating our processes. So that is the one thing I had to learn, is to have excellence when it comes to communication. So I'm talking to my clients all the time, and I'm creating the platforms to do so. One of the platforms is WhatsApp. And if I have the time, I make time for family and those other things. But if I have the time to quickly answer a question that you have, I will do that. And because of that, I put clients at ease, that I didn't just take your money and I'm going to run away, because my industry is infamous for incidents like that. Yeah. So I think for me, Patrick, if we look at delivering excellence when it comes to service delivery, I would put communication on top of that, because it's important that you maintain that trust, because it's easier. If you think of dating, it's easier to go back to an ex than it is to get a new person in your life, because the ex knows you, the ex knows everything about you,
and you also know them.
Whereas the new person, hey, you need to put the hair and the makeup and everything on for at least the first few months, and then later, the lashes start coming off or whatever else. So if you can maintain just that relationship with your existing clients, you'll be able to get and deliver more services to them and get money, compared to having to convince a new client, hey, come to me for business. And your current existing clients will then be able to refer you. And I don't do a lot of marketing. My marketing comes from my clients. They refer me. Word of mouth is something that's very strong. One person will connect you to at least 4 people.
Wow. And that's true, Cheryl, because when I was thinking about who to bring onto this. Your name came up in my mind, because I know I know the service that you provide, the speed with which you communicate, and I trust you for that. So you're right in that sense. People refer you. Let's go to you, Yanga. There's a question that I asked earlier on. You may want to get there if you want, but I just want to find out from you, what for you, you started telling us about some of the key aspects of service delivery and even service experience. Can you please expand a bit in terms of how do you do that? I mean, from the planning point of view, do you have a team that you sit around to say, oh, these things you write down, and then you say, I want to create this kind of experience? Because I'm thinking here, there's a business person who's sitting out there who's not like taking, for an example, service excellence seriously. A lot of the people may be spending a lot of money on the marketing side, being on social media, but not focusing on the business and the service provision side of things. But you seem to be doing both. So just share with us a bit more thoughts along the lines that you were thinking earlier, and so that people can learn out there.
Brackett, sometimes the lack, because we're not speaking about this subject in a silo. We are speaking about this subject at a time where there are clients who want to support our businesses.
Okay.
But there seems to not be a reciprocal action from our side where we deliver.
Okay.
Now, as the man in the center, we need to have our own DNA. What is the standard? So a person who does not have that genetic in them doesn't have it. And that's what we must, because there's a whole debate around this supporting Black-owned businesses.
Yes. Yeah.
And when a customer is complaining, be grateful.
Okay.
That is someone who is saying to you, fix here. There's a particular thing we must always look out for. Is there a genetic in this? Luckily, if our businesses at this point still carries our names.
Yes.
We are not multinationals where you can pass the buck. But just in the DNA, in your culture, internally, is it within you to wow a customer? Secondly, you need to be able to define what is this that we want to attain. What is the measure? You need to be able to, when I finish servicing this particular client, there are points where you hear, did I do the right thing? How does it? Because it's not about just doing the right, it's about how do you make people feel.
Yeah.
Your day can move from servicing a cleaner in my line of business. I can be on the phone servicing someone's domestic worker who has their family covered with us, to talking to a CEO about underwriting rates and loss to income ratios. But it's all about how in your interactions you make people feel. I made the same example. That one who, when you get to a department and someone is chewing a bubble gum and just says next, looking on the other side.
Hey.
There's your customer service. And you get your ID, you walk. But that, when you deal then with that other person who, when you sell a house using this estate agent, you feel like I had 10 other houses to sell just so I can keep interacting with this person. Now this is the experience we are talking about. It needs to be a wow. In corporate, we've always talked about what is called the Net Promoter Score.
Okay.
I've been talking about it. I want to get this thing done. As much as I do have an understanding of where how we're faring off in terms of our service delivery, But it's things we need to also implement, because the net promoter score, if someone can say, I've used Yanga, and Yanga, now go phone this person, that is telling you that you are doing the right thing. And of course, you must be invested to want to get this result. It just doesn't happen. And most of the times, it's lack of exposure. If you go to a bank, I don't know why there's segmentation, by the way, because the whole experience should be the same.
Same, it
should be the same. Whether you are being serviced downstairs or on first floor, because first floor is usually business and private banking.
Yeah.
This is my thing. What keeps me awake is getting to that private banking service excellence, whether it is for a cleaner, a gardener, or the CEO.
The people must feel respected and valued.
Everyone wants to feel important and wants to feel that they matter. So the DNA that we should be talking about is does this one catch what we are trying to do?
Yeah.
Even if I'm doing business now between Cheryl or Nwabisa, we need to be able to assess each other. As Yanga get what we are trying to do, as because some of I do have proposals on what we could be doing, Black business people, in terms of addressing the issue of non-delivery when it comes to us as service providers.
Okay.
We in fact, we need to be in the forefront to say, guys, this is what we should be doing. For clients to be able to identify who has this thing in their business DNA.
Hey,
Lever.
Because we're going to get to that issue of how do we mobilize your business organizations, especially your Black business organizations, around this matter. Because it's a big issue, because some people feel that, listen, rather than getting this electrician to come in and work here, because they have, and without doing the business. So we're going to come back to that. But Nwabi, from your side, you provide service. How do you define service excellence from your perspective, and how do you do it?
Thank you, Puti. I believe that in our industry, service excellence is done backstage.
Okay.
And the result is service excellence. So whatever that we do, it starts from us at the backstage, then the results being the service excellence. When we have met the customer's expectation and beyond, that is service excellence. And when our customers feel and when they can see that extra effort that we have put on our work, that is service excellence for us. And there are three things that we gauge ourselves with. We believe on service strategy. So when we service you, we believe that we do not need to have that back and forth. You know, when you're doing business with someone, it's easy to do business when you have everything that you need, rather than going back and forth, not knowing what you do. So the best thing is to have a service strategy. Just know what is it that you're going to do, and you meet the expectation first time. Another thing that we do is service performance. When we give deadlines, they must be met. If we happen to have backlogs, there must be a valid reason behind, but we believe on service performance. And the last thing that we gauge on is customer results. The aim is to always get positive results. And that means then we have satisfied our customers. We may be getting bad results, and we take that there is potentially to grow. But we must gauge on customer results. That is what we mean then by service excellence.
Service strategy, service results. We're learning a lot today. Colleagues, those of you who've just joined us, we are busy talking about small business and service excellence. We've heard quite a lot about the people, the personalities behind the three businesses that we're talking about today. We've heard their history. We've heard about, you know, what is it that they are doing. And I'm just looking here at some of the, oh, sorry, man. I'm gonna come back to this because it's making. Can you hear this this noise? Because I want to read the Facebook thing here. It says, Yanga. Okay. Monez Yanga, is he able to tell us his underwriter? I don't know if that's allowable or not, Yanga. You've answered the question here. And Lungelo Kwanyane says, customer service is everything. Customer service centric approach. And I think this kind of discussion, it's very important because people think about service excellence or service experience when we're talking about these kind of companies or service companies. But it can be also someone who comes and builds here. I mean, I like one of you was saying, it's about how you're made to feel at the end of it. You are made to feel that this person values you. All right. Now, let's come back to you, Cheryl-Lynn. I thought you had left because of time, but you are back. Let's look at some of the partnerships that you've had because I think you were also trying to build partnerships somewhere in the South. I mean, can you just tell us about the role of partnerships in your business? And also, if you can share some challenges that you've gone through along the way.
So, Patrick, I mentioned that one of my weaknesses is marketing.
Yes.
So what I had to do is there were a few partnerships because I specialize in MPOs. There were a few partnerships that helped me. By the way, there was one gentleman that.
By the way, you guys here, I mean, each of you can provide business to another, you know, so you can see that there are areas where we can all exchange business ideas here and do that partnership. Carry on, Cheryl-Lynn.
Yes. Yeah, because I think a lot of what Yanga was saying was resonating with me. I found myself having to finance my mom's funeral, so I know what that feels like. I had to do it for a couple of members of mine. Going back to what you were saying regarding partnerships, so one of the partnerships that helped me was the partnership with the Department of Social Development, where they invited me to come and speak at some of the workshops just to cover the financial aspect of it. And it's sort of something out of pocket that I had to do. I wasn't paid for the time, but I did it, and that gave me access to quite a number of clients that I still have today. I also had an individual. I think it's very important to value people that truly support you. I had an individual that promoted me on Facebook and would refer me all the time, Frank Julie, and he really helped me, and he's been a veteran in the MPO sector.
I know Frank.
And yes, and he actually, if I could say, he was an indirect mentor to me in the industry. So that really helped me. And then there was another partnership that didn't work out so well. It's still a dream I have for a training center that I opened in partnership with another organization. But where we failed was in terms of the actual area that it was located. It wasn't very accessible, and it wasn't marketed very well. So that partnership was a bit of a failure for me. Another partnership I took on was to have the kiosk in the mall. I had a kiosk in Blue Route Mall.
Yes,
and,
that's what
yes, and I remember the gentleman said to me, he was showing me around the spaces, and he was saying that setting up a kiosk cost over 100,000. And he says he's not seen a lot of people of color. It's more foreigners that are opening up the kiosks in the mall.
What was the kiosk going to do? What were you going to do in that kiosk?
So we were up for a couple of months. So what we did in the kiosk is we basically consulted. So you would come and we did registrations from there as well. We assisted with SARS compliance if you needed issues. So I was basically in the banking, the kiosk was in the banking hall.
Yes.
So as clients as people would pass from the bank or going to the bank, and then they would see our form of marketing outside in services. So we did a lot of consulting, but obviously one of the challenges that was faced was COVID, and it wasn't covering we weren't getting enough revenue because there weren't feet in the mall. Okay. So that was another partnership that I tried, but it eventually had not been that successful. So those were just a few of the partnerships I had. I had entered into full-time business with someone, and that was my late husband. And it's something that you need to look at very carefully when you take on a partner. You need to look at the skill sets, you need to look at the qualification, you need to look at the integrity when it comes to running businesses. So I think when you do enter into a partnership with someone, there's a level of it's almost an extension of yourself. And if you're going into partnership with someone where you don't see the extension of your values being perpetuated in that partnership, then it's not a partnership that you should take on. So entering into business with my husband, and I went through a very bad divorce, and that resulted in my reputation. It was trying to destroy my reputation, and I had to take all of that as a professional. That takes what I do in high regard, and I had to go through all of those experiences and still hold my head high. So I think you need to.
I remember, Cheryl-Lynn, we talked about it, and it was quite a sad, very sad experience for you. And
yes,
I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Yes, but I think what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm still alive and well. So what I'm just saying, yes, it's a sensitive personal matter that I've wanted to share, just to emphasize the importance of entering into business with the right kind of partners. You can't always assume that your wife or your husband's going to be the right kind of partner, or your bestie, that yes, there might be a level of trust, this person will have your interest at heart, but there's other skill sets that's required in business that cannot be assumed. And you need to know, is this person committed to develop those skill sets in order to be able to run the business or not. I even see with nonprofit organizations, they having board members that are white elephants that are not doing what they are supposed to be doing. So you're touching on a very, very important and key topic when it comes to partnerships, because partnerships are there to develop, to elevate, to enhance your credibility, to make you more money. And if it's not doing that, then it's not worth it.
Okay. All right, Nwabi. Any partnerships you've spoken about working with churches? You've spoken about, so any partnerships that have you built or you are in the process of building, and as well as you, Yanga, and I saw that you were presenting at is it the Wesley Guild, or I mean in churches, you've been asked to come and talk about this. Can you just chip in here, guys, about the issue of partnership? And also, you might as well talk about challenges. I'm looking at the time in the same wavelength. Let's start with you, Nwabi.
Okay, thank you, Buti. The partnership that we've gained or we've got is we collaborate with other small businesses. Sometimes we get gigs where there is a wedding, and then you ask to do the invites, you do the video and taking pictures, whereas this other small business will be doing the decor of the wedding. Okay. So we have small business that we work with that will do that. And then with the churches, we do publications for the church. The posters are done by us at Church Destined for Greatness. And, we've learned that it helps to associate yourself with good people, the people that at times they will help you, especially with the word of mouth. That's how I met you, Butet, that I met you through Butando, who is the pastor for Destined for Greatness. And that's where I do most of my work. So that's the power of association. So that's how we do partnership. Mostly it will be for small businesses, it will be for schools. For instance, now I'm at CPUT, there are groups of people who would come and would help with the posters, with the publications, with the videos for their assignments. So that's how we work, and with the churches as well.
Wow. Okay. All right. And you are also involved with singing, and I see there when you're conducting worship, and I thought the three of you would give us a trio song before you go. And let's go to you, Yanga.
Patrick.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes,
if I can just interject.
Yes.
Nwabisa mentioned Langa Baptist Church.
Yes.
One of the initiatives that I ran at the radio station was Sing for the King. And Langa Baptist Church was one of the venues that we used.
Oh, yes, I remember. I was there. We were taking videos. There was a time sound. Yes, I remember.
So it's a small world.
That radio station, you know Lula Sevilla?
Yes, yes.
He's the one, you were at that radio station, Christian radio station in Cape Town. And he said it's focused on the family, but I forget it now. Yes. All right. It's amazing how, this world is small and people just talk and you remember something. Yanga, let's get back to you, man. Your partnership, your response to my question.
All right. I think, sometimes, as much as it's important to have synergies and partnerships at our level, we tend to overlook the agreements we have even with big businesses. It's not always a thank you kind of a relationship when you now all of a sudden get a contract from a big business. In my space, there are insurers I do not work with.
Okay.
On this same topic we are discussing. Yes, they are, but in my space as a brokerage, I would be like, no.
Wow.
No service excellence. I don't want to be sued. I won't mention names, but no service excellence. You're like, I know you are in the game for more than 100 years, but no. Because the customer is not going to sit comfortably with your processes. And I do believe on synergies, what I cannot offer. One of the things that Otatu Sim Shabala, the CEO of Standard Bank, taught me, play to your strengths. Playing to your strengths. Leave other weaknesses. It will take you longer if you must, at these grown-up ages of ours now, where we focus on the weaknesses. Play to your strengths and find other people to attend to the areas where you are weaker. So we do have SLAs now. Because we are providing a whole array. One person who's in the space will ask themselves, how are we able to provide all these things? No, we've got SLAs where it makes sense, and with businesses that share the same values as us. For instance, business and commercial insurance, we don't do it directly. We've got an SLA with a business that focuses on that. Estate and trusts, wills, we've got a business that focus on, and they are the best in that. So you build partnerships that are going to benefit and expand the value add of the business. I believe, we never see employees as partners. Employees can think about businesses. We are in a time where people are looking for jobs, and there's said to be no jobs, but we've got businesses that need people to come, complement and build, but these two are not finding one another. I think I'm growing enough now in business to be very, I'm moving the emotions when I must look for someone to employ. I've done my mistakes there, where I'm done.
No,
Thinking with I'm done.
Amen. Amen.
You appoint the partner, then because in our business we magnifying glass. For me, in my business, once the cost for the telephone bill goes up, I see it. It doesn't take me 3 months to see it. I see it almost immediately. When the amount I pay for Wi-Fi goes up, already it's an indication that I got the incorrect employee, because this person, well, I forgot the other thing, but it has a lot of pictures and videos.
Okay.
You know, you provide a place, because when you want to partner with someone, you are saying, come share your skill. Here is the stage. Come perform your best. But once as small as we are, there's that attitude of we are begging for employees. No, we are saying, come, add that which you are good at, and add value and make this thing prosperous. And it's the team that makes the dream works. So our partnerships, I think the best businesses are based on, it's a reflection of a team. And I'm in a stage in my life where, and my life in business, where I'm looking for the best partners in terms of people to come in and be employed. When I look at my business, and it's got facets that big businesses have, but there are people who are driving those divisions. But here it's all in one. But it needs credible partners to come say, we are gifted in this thing, we see the vision, and we move forward.
Wow. Well, that's great. We've got abantu who are watching this program on Facebook. We've got Umpumi as Nongxa. So welcome. Untleki is here. I've mentioned him before. I can see, I've read Unkwanyane, and Tando Melane, Mfundisi wethu, is saying, can I have Cheryl-Lynn's numbers? I have worked for her. You know, Cheryl-Lynn, fortunately, you are based in Cape Town, and Tando is based there. And I'm sure before we go, please make sure that your contact details are either written on here, on this Zoom session, so that I can read out to people that are on Facebook, and so that people can know how to get there. You see, the reason why we bring people here is for those people to also establish their own relationship with the viewers, to establish their own. So there has to be a long-term benefit of you coming here, not just for people to be inspired, to be informed, but for new business ideas to be shared, and so on. So her name is Cheryl-Lynn Freeman. And then I can see una lady, Molope Serutu, she's watching. Alois is right here. I can see Uyonela Mlonyeni, she's here. Nangu Kanyisa, Vutula, welcome people. Nusizo, welcome Sizwe for joy. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got, who else am I missing? Okay, if I miss you, please forgive me. But people are writing here, and for those of you who may be on Facebook, maybe you're not on Zoom, you can contact me. I have all their contact details. And then, but for those of you who are here on Zoom, they are here written down. For Cheryl-Lynn is cheryl@mzansibees.co.za. She has a website, www.mzansi. Umzansi, it's like it's not the TS as in Xhosa. It's NSI, mzansibees.co.za. And for Yanga, he's got www.ifinsurance.co.za, and his email address is yanga@ifinsurance.co.za. He's also have his number there. So, because there's no use in us having all this discussion if there's not going to be business discussions happening. And Nwabisa is also going to give us her own details. so that we can make sure that their business is beyond us. We are over the time, so if you really have to go, please tell us, and then we'll release you. But I do want us to get to these questions before we wrap up. From Nwabisa or Media Nongxa, it's Nwabisa. Let me read it. Sorry, it's Nongxa. Sorry, Nongxa n@gmail.com, and her number is 0722793189. You can get those numbers from me a bit later. You know. Okay, guys, before we go, I know that you're spending the afternoon. Some of you want to go and watch soccer, but I think this discussion is much more juicier than soccer. You know, I'm a soccer fan, but I think this is much more juicier. Now let's talk about, Cheryl-Lynn, you started off talking about the legislative environment. Can you just tell a little bit more about what is it that can be done there because everybody is saying businesses are going to be the answer to issue of job creation. I think I want to link to what Yanga was saying, because there's a side of the skills and the work ethic of the person that has to do that. We have clearly identified that. But there has to be the environment within which businesses have to operate, created by the government. Can you talk about what is it that they can do, but also the issue of corporate partnering with businesses? And Yanga, please tell us if you can answer the question of who your underwriter is, so that we can make sure that Monez and Keki has been answered there. But if it's a LSA matter, contractual arrangement, feel free, it's up to you. Let's get to you, Cheryl-Lynn, corporate and the public sector environment.
So I think Yanga was just touching on the bit in terms of corporate partnerships. From one of the things that gets missed is from a Black economic empowerment point is opportunities when it comes to enterprise development. And you'll see there will be calls for proposals from bigger companies that are actually calling smaller businesses to partner and to provide certain services to them. So I think a lot of the corporates where you are in that industry or sector, I would advise that you try and look on and check their website out if it is on a monthly basis, or try and sign up for some sort of newsletter they might have, to be able to be aware of those calls that do come out, because you will be able to benefit in terms of getting the business, and the corporates benefit in terms from a BEE point of view. So I think that opportunity is there. A lot of the challenges that I see when it comes to failing to win tenders, as well as to be able to partner with corporates, is when businesses are not compliant. And these very basic things, Patrick, that a lot of businesses miss. Immediately when you're registering your company, then taxes come into play, whether you're making business or not. I think the fault comes from when people say, hey, but I've been making losses, or the company has been dormant, so why must I submit that? I think it's very important if you can educate yourself. I've got YouTube videos out there, and there's quite a number of professionals that cover just the basics on tax. You don't need to know the nitty-gritty of everything, but just understand that as a company, you become a provisional taxpayer, know what SARS e-filing is, be able to get control. I do have a lot of access to my companies, my different clients' profile, but I prefer them holding their own SARS tax profile so they can monitor for themselves. So I think it's important that you look out from a compliance point of view, look out to make sure that you are right with the tax man, you know? They don't always do right with us, with the service delivery, but let us at least do what we can on our side to keep our name clean, because that's all we have as a business owner. And then also the one area, Patrick, where even on bigger organizations that I've been part of, that they've missed it, and then they have HR managers and specialists, but they still miss it, is to really look at the legislative requirements when it comes to even just having one person employed. One area, if we could focus on anything else that we need to be able to get right, because we don't have the money to sit at CCMA. We don't have the money to, like Yanga said, get and employ the wrong people, because it costs us, you have to do UIF registrations, pay as you earn, COIDA, all of these things suddenly come up when you employ someone. So it's very important that before you make certain decisions, clue yourself up on what is required. There's a very useful website, Patrick, called, it's been created by business partners. It's called the SME Toolkit. So it takes each aspect of the business and it gives you templates and it gives you background on what are the sort of things that you need to look out for. I refer to that website as well. They provide free information to really help. The red tape is there, but I don't think you should use it as an excuse to be able to move forward. Try and work around it. What you don't know, ask. I always ask. I'm not shy to ask, and that's how people are surprised. Like, you're an accountant, or how do you know this? How do you know that? It's because I ask, I research, I take out the time to, and I think it's important. If you want to be ahead of the game, then you've got to know the field that you're playing on. As a rugby player, I might be very good, but if I cannot play in the rain, then I'm going to risk losing the game. So you've got to know how to be flexible in a different environment. If you're going into a new business, a new sector, then clue yourself up, ask the questions, make the phone calls, write the emails, type the text, the WhatsApp text to whomever you can connect with, to make sure that you are as equipped as you can be. We've had Red Door that's disappointed a lot of small businesses, but I do see the one good thing for me that's come out of COVID is that we've highlighted really how broken things are, if I can say, from a business point of view when it comes to our SMEs, and how we've missed out on opportunities. There are companies that have missed out on claiming UIF because they've never registered, even though they have employees. And they weren't able to trade for a certain period of time. It's highlighted the level of funding opportunities that's really required for our SMEs. So I think from that perspective, we need to push back sometimes where we can, and where there's calls for us to be able to say something, we should. As tax practitioners, we have to give SARS feedback through our membership. And I think, hey, this is not going to work. Our people sometimes don't want to vote because they see the structures there and they see what's happening. But your collective voices can make a difference. And the same with your business. Sometimes we think we need to, like you said, you're interviewing entrepreneurs that are on a journey, that aren't necessarily at the end. I think we also need to value the pennies that do come into our business, whether it's small or big, because it puts food on the table and it makes a difference. So to not undermine where you are and where you are starting, because everyone in the world, whatever they did, they had to start somewhere. And I think that's sometimes the greatest challenge for a lot of us. We see all these challenges, this registration and that needs to be done. And the mullah is just not forthcoming. But you know what? Just start somewhere with what you have, with the skill sets, with the brilliant mind God has given you, and work from there.
Okay. All right. Wow. Thank you. Yanga, let's get to you, man. And then as we are now wrapping up this discussion, I'm aware of time, but it's so exciting. It's so interesting. People are learning. For example, Naledi Molope Serudu says, indeed, much more interesting. We are learning so much. So you guys are adding value already to what people are listening out there. And a lot of you, and all of you were working somewhere, but you transitioned them. Maybe people are listening saying, how can I start? Yanga, let's get to you, man, in terms of the question that I asked. Let's start with Munir's and Keki's question, and then come to the rest.
Okay. From Munez, I think I've responded to say, we are a brokerage firm. We hold agreements with quite a number of insurance companies.
Okay.
We've got Liberty Life in our stable. We've got One Life. We've got your AVBOBs, African Unity Life. So it's quite a, yeah, if we're talking on the vehicle and commercial insurance, we've got the best in the business, your Santams and Brights and many others. So we've got a variety of insurers that are known in SA.
Okay. All right. All right.
Your question was it on the framework?
Yeah, let's talk about the legislative framework. How supportive can it be towards small businesses in your area, or or are you satisfied with the kind of corporate partnerships that you already have? Or do you feel that there could be more particularly support towards Black businesses from this? And I think the other question that we have to add now is the role of the Black associations in improving service excellence among its own members.
That's it. That last question is a very.
Let's start there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very important. You see, we don't take time to self-reflect.
Okay.
As now the Black organizations that are there, we don't take time to self-introspect and say, where are we? Because most of the times our agenda is always about the others and less about us and the members. So I think as Black organizations, we really need to self-diagnose internally and say, what is it that we can do internally to better our own businesses instead of, I mean, if you, okay, I won't bash my own beloved Black organizations. I belong to two. And the third one, which is also a prominent business body, a friend of, I won't bash them, but really, we need to start saying it's less about the others because we have less control of what's happening outside. But what are we doing to equip ourselves internally? Earlier on, I did say we could have suggestions of, for instance, you have a branded business that signs a particular undertaking when it comes to service excellence, where we hold each other accountable as a body. You know, if a Black business body tomorrow can come and say, as these 100 businesses, we are committing to this service standard. We don't have that. I don't believe we have that. And of course, coming with that, we equip then each other on how to do these things. I mean, issues of process mapping in an organization are then key. I mean, once you are not in your business, someone else must know where to begin when you're going to do a particular process. So a lot of these things are in someone's mind, but they are not written down as a clear process to guide. So as the organizations, those are the things we could, other than talking about it and creating the awareness, we can start to say, all right, in Cheryl's business or in Yanga's business, when a claim comes in, what happens? You know, it's process mapping, it's documented, and it's things we do not do. That's where we bring in the coaching element to say, can you then understand if you could do this and look at the process, what is making this thing take 7 days? What if it took 3? What would be the outcome? You know, it means people spend less time on it. You save on time, you are more productive. So there are things we could do as Black businesses, but especially if we look internally. As much as we still wanted to hold in the business environment others who are more advanced than us, but we still have a responsibility to look within and say what you do in your business still affects me, because when they say, oh, those Black people never deliver, indirectly it affects me.
Yeah.
When some burial insurance company in Kailicha doesn't pay out a claim of people and social media is a buzz, I also come to mind of ordinary clients and say, I wonder, where is he? So if we've got those conversations in a particular body, you can have it. Church is a very good place. The organizations that deal with businesses, there are civil organizations as well. There are NGOs, but I don't think we are focusing on the growing. I don't want to really comment on the support of business. I'm not one person who always focuses on things I cannot change myself, but I don't believe there's enough support from business. I don't believe we are yet to see support from business. We thought we've got the right person who comes from a business fraternity, but I don't believe we have the right man at the helm, even though he is acclaimed to be coming from a business fraternity. Unless today you can show me a business from ground up, we need at the helm of supporting business, we need people who have built businesses from ground up. Because in SA, okay, now I'm getting into this thing that I said I don't want to get into. In SA, for you to be able to get support from business, you must be having a deal that you can go talk to PIC about. Other than that, there's no clear, or DTI. I mean, the investment mandate of those organizations. I mean, I can't go to DTI for anything because I'm not in the manufacturing industry.
Yeah.
What do you then say about the charters, the financial services charters that were always there talking to the issues of transformation? We've forgone all those things. Whether it's COVID or it's not COVID, an invoice is sent to Yanga to pay the levies for him to still have his practicing license. COVID or no COVID, it's immaterial, because you want to treat Yanga's business as though it's the same as those 100 ones. So if the same government does not know me, they can never be able to service me. If the same people who are entrusted to support my business and anyone else have never built a business, they are struggling with piggeries. They're struggling to manage their own piggeries in farms. And you want to tell me this very same person? Come on. So, for me, I don't. That's why I don't focus on government stuff. Earlier days when we were building the business, I would go to these government interventions. Time-consuming, not relevant for me.
Not relevant anymore. Okay.
More paper pushers. You need to get to a point where you say, I mean, I'll give you one organization. We've got CEDA now. CEDA, it's non-financial support. It's non-financial support, right?
Yeah.
We agree. Business is not all about money, but business is also not about, what do you do once you've created a website and you've given me pamphlets? What do you then do? What do you do?
Yeah.
We need to we are in a point now, expansion. How do you come in when we need to scale the business? Because this is what is not coming out of our businesses. Others are able to today, they create this thing and it's scalable. Of private equity investments. But today, you 26 years after, how many can you mention that you can say they are now multinationals? Of course, the others that were built in this time. Oh, come on. I wanted to do two things because we are running out of time. I wanted to do two. So I'll leave this thing. I wanted to.
Let's wrap up.
But are we wrapping up now?
Okay, we will wrap up, but make those points, and then I see that Nwabisa keeps losing the connection. But let's do this. We have to wrap up. We are already 4 minutes before 4. So Yanga, do whatever you want, say whatever you want to say, and also wrap up, and then I get to Cheryl-Lynn.
Leaders are readers.
Okay. Yes.
If you are in business today, we understand most of us are first generation business people. Best thing you can do is to invest in yourself, read. One of my 3 suggestions I'll make if you're a business person, this is number 1, the 4 legs of the table. Biggest business built, 1960, Pick and Pay. Number 2, the 10 principles behind great customer experiences.
Wow.
You get it at Exclusive Books. Lastly, winning the unfair fight. How small businesses can be taken from nothing to becoming giants. It's an unfair fight. We need to capacitate ourselves mentally. We need to talk to those people who built businesses. And lastly, this is my thing. We find something happening in the upper room. There's a gentleman who calls 12 other men and says, come, you are invited. Your booking is ready. Your reservation is ready. The table is set. There's a chair for you. He takes a robe and puts it on his shoulder. He takes a basin and says, I'm going to wash your feet. Here is a servant of the people. And this is exactly what we are doing ourselves. Our calling as business people is to serve people. As much as they thought they were unworthy to be served, we are there, whether the customer is black or white, we are there not to be judgmental because money knows no color. Ours is to create that upper room experience where someone says, man, I am not as deserving to be treated in this manner. But here is someone taking time and preparing a room, a clean linen, and this business services me. No one complained in that room to say, this robe is too dirty, the water is too cold or too, and that is our challenge. And by the way, that's how we then read scripture, Pastor Milan. When we read the Bible, we see business. In that upper room experience, we create that memorable experience that will say, we look forward to having our feet washed again by this fellow. We look forward to that recurring income because we've wowed a customer somewhere. We have that understanding that tomorrow we will not be here, but we have promoters that will go out immediately when we are not here, and they'll convert other people into more customers for us. We're not just about believing and being all, we creating profitable businesses that will have promoters that will go out and create a Pentecostal experience, and customers come and we are ready.
I didn't know, Kandi, you can also preach so much, man.
I'm just talking, I'm not preaching, it's my element now. We're talking business now.
Here's another preacher. Cheryl-Lynn, you're also another powerful speaker as well. Please just wrap up as well with some of the key messages that you want to share with people out there, and whatever you want to share so that people can be motivated. But just before you do that, I just want to read what people are saying here. Utumo Mangotwana saying, you give me so much hope, I'm inspired. Oh my God. Yanga Duma is my favorite friend, but I do not know how. I do not know how or when, but I know why. Singenile iskolo between. In other words, this person feels that they have learned today. Tando Nteleza says, very interesting, learned a lot from this program. This is exactly what we want. Cheryl-Lynn, I'm worried that Nongxa is not here, but I can understand maybe she had to go somewhere. Cheryl-Lynn?
One of the things or the purposes that I learned in Accounts 101 for starting a business is wealth creation.
Yeah.
And I find, yes, so you might have started the business out of pure survival and not necessarily with the end in mind for prosperity and for wealth creation or creating a legacy. But I think we need to shift our mindsets to that. I remember I was at 1 year at Global Leadership Summit, And they did a depiction of the miracle of Elijah the prophet that goes to the widow and her son, and then she was going to prepare this meal. This was going to be their very last meal. Then they were, for her, she was preparing to die. And the instruction the prophet gave to her is, go find as many barrels as you can and bring it back. And they lined up these barrels, and the oil just kept on pouring and pouring and pouring. But you know when the oil stopped, Patrick, you know when the oil stopped pouring? When there were no more jars.
Wow.
And it was at that point that God spoke to me about creating capacity. So we might be running one-man shows now, but hey, we go up for prayer all the time. The prophet speaks to us, but we don't prepare enough for what we're trusting for. So if you are wanting to build that national company, if you are wanting to play against the big guns, if you are wanting to go every quarter on holiday to the Bahamas, prepare yourself for it. Yanga said, you know, we don't have meetings with ourselves often enough. We need to be able to sit down, reflect. You know, when I spoke about having a business plan, prepare yourself, create capacity, and that's referring to time. So often we don't give ourselves meditation, thinking, strategic time. Go to the beach and sit with a notebook. Skill sets. We want to be the big boss, but where are the big boss skills? Leaders are not always born, they are developed. And reading is definitely one of those ways. Find mentors, find coaches to help you to create that capacity. Further is resources. You need to be able to identify each stage. The first year, this is what I need. The next 3 years, this is what I'm going to need. The next 5 years. Because what if a Cyril Ramaphosa comes into your business? Hopefully when he's not president at the time, and he wants to write the check and he gives you a blank check, will you know how much to put on there, and would you know how to justify that figure that you put on that blank check? So for me, what I want to leave, if you're going to be starting or if you're already on the road for a long time, is just preparation. Keep on preparing yourself for what you are wanting and desiring, because you can have someone that wins the lottery, but if they don't know how to manage that money, it's going to be gone. It's going to be gone in a couple of months. So I think it's very important that we prepare ourselves and continually just continue to sharpen that sword, continue to sharpen so that we can really fight and annihilate this giant of poverty that we face in our communities and in our country.
Wow. Sure, people, I don't know what to say. It's just amazing the way that this thing developed. And it seems come across to me that you not only believe all these biblical principles, you just leave them through. They just come through your life. And I think the other thing that you mentioned is the issue of reading. In fact, when I was thinking about this topic, I wrote the word small business, and I stretched the word small. And then, you know, because as much as I'm listening to you here, you may be a few persons, businesses, but in actual fact, your thinking is far bigger. So that's what would draw you to where you have to grow. You can be bigger in terms of numerical numbers or even budget or whatever the case may be measure. But in actual fact, the way that I'm listening, you're coming across, you're thinking big, you're thinking about how to proceed in life. So, and people are correct. People that are listening here can actually learn tangible things that people do. I mean, you make space to read. You cannot say that it's for other people. You make space to develop yourself, develop your skills, to get coaching and all of those things. I really, really appreciate this time that you spent, guys, this afternoon. I really, really appreciate it, because you not only were you able to tell us about your experiences, but you were also practical. You were also inspirational. You were also humble about your businesses, and you focused on a customer-centric approach. And I've learned a lot, I must say, from that perspective myself. We are going to wrap up now, but I mean, if there's a burning thought that comes to your mind before we wrap up, Yanga, please share that, or Cheryl-Lynn, but I don't want to to leave out anything. It sounds like you are overflowing inside to share with our viewers. And I don't want them to leave without that overflow. But if you feel that there's nothing else to share, please, then we can close. Anything else?
Patrick, just from my side, I want to just encourage you. You started a great initiative. Keep going, keep empowering, keep encouraging, keep connecting and bringing people together. God has given you that gift to do that. So I just want to say and honor you for that, and thank you for providing me with opportunity. Flight, my story is 8. I think I've said what I needed to, and I hope that it's just a small seed to really plant so they can continue. But you are the one that's continuing to water and make it grow bigger, and I believe this platform will grow much bigger.
Thank you, Cheryl-Lynn. Thank you so much, and all the best. Yanga.
Rapet, I'll say something perhaps I should say before you die.
Okay.
Thank you for being you. You're one of the names that do come up when a young person like myself to say, who is that one person that I can look up to and cut a pattern for a prosperous life? A lot of times when we come to these sessions, it's always, I never, by the way, like to come because people perceive you to be successful when you are not.
Okay.
But a definition of success to me really is being able to watch from a distance what you do with your family, and be like, that is a model of success. It's for me to be able, as I'm driving on the Plattekloof Road to join the N2, and I see you jogging there, sweating. I'm like, Aibo, this timer is a definition of success. So for me, success has not always been one-sided about money. It's about stability of family, clarity of purpose, and health-wise, you've got good. So before you die, know that what you stand for, we are watching. It's not yet your memorial service. Thank you. Continue in that way. It's encouraging to us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do appreciate those words of encouragement. And as I say, people, please touch base with us, on Facebook, on platforms like social media, YouTube. We're trying to push development. We're trying to push people growth. We're trying to push family development and all those kinds of things. And I'd like to thank you for keeping longer than the necessary time. And all the best to all of those of you who are at home listening. Thank you guys so much. We'll be in touch by WhatsApp. And again, thank you to our viewers, and thank you to our guests, and to you, Nwabisa. Unfortunately, you couldn't stay. Thank you so much again. Cheers, guys. Take good care. You spoke so well. You spoke so well. Bye.
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 Okay, Cheryl-Lynn will be in touch.
Okay.
Okay. I hope I haven't left out any questions that would be asked. I could see here that Skumbuzo Bali Somfundis Wam. Good to see you again. Tula Kuzwayo, my daughter. Sebisa, also thank you for joining us. Duma, welcome. Mark Gaba. Lungisayaze, I see you. Thank you so much for joining. All the best, guys. For those of you who are looking forward to this, you'll get it on Facebook. You can watch it there. It will be there. Thank you. Okay, Jan. Cheers.
Oh, Brapet, keep up.
Okay, man. We'll be in touch. Thank you. Thank you, Kanyisa. And bye-bye. Cheryl-Lynn, cheers.